G'day there guys, Markee here, officially announcing my running for president in 2024, despite having no qualifications or even American citizenship. Welcome back to the show, and actually today we're going to be reading some r/AmiTheA. I'm really sorry to sour the mood there. So if you guys do like this r/AmiTheA content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and enjoy today's bloody good content. Thank you. Posted by user Karina Mama, titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to get over the fact that my parents call our daughter by a nickname? My husband and I have an 8-month-old daughter named Karina. We loved the name Karina from the get-go and decided on it before she was even conceived. Important context, my husband is white and I'm Punjabi. I'm the only one of my siblings and cousins to have married a white person. My family is fine with it, but it's definitely a noteworthy thing because I'm the only one. For example, this cousin is tall, this cousin loves to go hiking, and this cousin married a white guy, lol? My parents fawn over my husband and my sister's husband because in Punjabi culture, it's normal to flatter your daughter's husband. I guess in the olden days it was to make sure she didn't get returned to the original owner, lol? So my husband's always had a really positive relationship with my parents. When our daughter was born, immediately my family noted that Karina sounds close to the Punjabi name Kiran, so they jokingly called her Kiran and it stuck right away. It's not a joke anymore, they say it so naturally that it's legit her name to them. I never thought anything of it. All of my nieces and nephews have Punjabi names that we say with a Punjabi accent, even when we're speaking in English. Everyone on my side calls her Kiran exclusively. My husband noted a few months ago that he doesn't like it, but I told him I don't think it's a biggie. He said, we named her Karina, and I said okay, that's what 90% of the people in her life will call her. It's not like it's going to cause some identity crisis. Yesterday, when my mum was visiting, my husband randomly says, I'm tired of you calling her by another name. She is our child, not yours. You need to respect that if you want to see her. If any of you are Punjabi or from another family-oriented ethnicity, you know that speaking to a parent figure like this is, oh my god, no. Like what the F? Stunned silence. My mum left immediately. She told my dad, and he was pissed. He told my brothers, and they were damn near seeing red. Again, for Punjabis, someone speaking like that to your mum is the epitome of fighting words. I told my husband 2 things. 1, he needs to get over the nickname. It's not that deep. It's not going to cause an identity crisis, and there's no damn control to fight over. My parents see our daughter maybe twice a week, and just to play and spoil her. AKA normal grandparent crap. 2, he can never, ever, ever speak to my parents like that. Any issue with them needs to go through me. I think we can salvage things from here, but if he ever said something like this again and it got back to my siblings, crap would go south real quick. He's mad that I'm not defending him or taking his side. I've listened as he's explained, her birth name is Karina, that is her identity, we can't let other people change her name. And I legit don't see a valid point. Our daughter is lucky enough to have a huge family that want to spoil her. Why mess with that? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I might be the a-hole because her name is Karina, and the nickname Kiran was never discussed or approved between the two of us. Also, I haven't defended my husband to my family, who are all mad at him. It's clear you're pretty well entrenched in your cultural ideology here, OP, and if you had a husband that were on board with these ideas and views on the name, then for sure this wouldn't be a problem. Unfortunately, the reality is that you have a husband who does not see this from your point of view. He sees it as a problem and his views are valid. Your views are also valid, but you absolutely refuse point blank to bridge the gap with him here and understand where he's coming from and acknowledge his feelings and potentially your child's future feelings also. Instead of approaching this privately together, You've sided with your family and their potentially violent threats, as you call them fighting words, and it won't go down well next time. That's ridiculously childish and toxic. You don't marry someone just to ignore their feelings and invalidate them. It's obvious you only care about what your family thinks, and everything to do with your husband is an afterthought, since you brushed him off time and time again when it came to this matter. You handled this situation so poorly. I fail to see a universe where you're not the a-hole here. You're the a-hole. And in the comments, Blue Bloom says, "You're the a-hole. Imagine if this was the other way around. If you had given her an Indian name and your husband's family was constantly westernizing it and refused to call her the original name. All hell would break loose, racist would be heard in every sentence, how he doesn't respect your culture, yada yada yada." Well, that's exactly what you do. You also said that your husband had to go through you and not speak to your parents like this. He actually did, and you dismissed him. You're the a-hole again and again. They also said that he had brought it up to her and the grandmother as something that bothered him before, and everyone ignored him. Exactly. I don't know why she chose her husband if he's always going to come second. 'Cause she benefits from having a Gora husband. Gora means white, by the way. I don't agree with it, but brown women with white husbands definitely get a social status boost. Oh, give me a break. There's a definite cost of the said Gora husband being not able to integrate well in the family. Going by how much you claim to know about SA family dynamics, you must know that family is very important in SA. So, no. Brown women with white husbands do not always get a social status boost. It varies from case to case. Agreed. Anyone who thinks a brown woman marrying outside of brown culture would get a social status boost is talking out of his ass. What alternate reality do you fragile folk live in? 70% of my Asian colleagues had to westernize their names or use ridiculous nicknames like Sam and Danny because white folk couldn't or wouldn't say their given names. These people actually pick white names just to survive professionally. Also, as far as I know, South Asians have a culture of multiple names and nicknames. It is very interesting. Sometimes they're not even connected to their given names. Maybe OP can see if this is true. So if you want to be worked up about OP's husband erasing his bicultural daughter's culture. This is at worst and everyone sucks here. Jesus. Do you not see the difference between your colleagues choosing to go by a different name and your boss choosing to give them a Western name as a nickname, never acknowledging their real name? Because that's what's happening here. No, because it's not really a choice. They do it so we won't mangle their names, and so they won't lose opportunities for not integrating. There's also a world of difference between a bicultural child having a loving nickname for private use from her minority culture and a minority employee forced to use a Western name in their public lives. I'm surprised you don't see that. After reading all the comments, I'm going with you're the a-hole, because you don't seem to get that it's not just your child. Your husband is fully allowed to have an opinion, and he's allowed to voice that opinion. Quote, any issue with them needs to go through me, end quote. Except he shared his issue with you and you did nothing because you don't think it's a biggie, but he does and he's allowed to. You want him to respect you and your family and their culture, but you aren't respecting him because it's a white person thing, I guess. You don't think taking the leap to, out of the blue, tell her parents they would stop them from seeing their grandchildren at least pulls this to everyone sucks here. I mean, I can understand that the name thing is crappy for him. She should have been more open to his feelings in the first place. There are cultures where you don't speak to parents like that. Indian cultures are one of them. If he had paid any attention to her culture at all, he'd have approached them differently with this. He put her relationship with her parents on the line. If my partner pulled that bullcrap on my mum, I'd bloody leave. But because he loves me and has taken time to integrate into my culture, and I onto his, we know how to appropriately be around each other's families. Yes, and there are some cultures where husbands are the head of the household, and wives don't go against them. but clearly we're picking and choosing our traditions here rather than blindly obeying them. Posted by user EvilA110, titled, Am I the a-hole for accidentally melting my roommate's Tupperware in the oven? Last night, my roommate said to me, "Don't heat up the oven right now. I've got something in there." That was around 5 p.m. I assumed she meant she had food in there and that she was going to cook later. I spent the rest of the evening in my room. This morning I woke up and, assuming she had cooked her food last night, started to heat up the oven to make my breakfast. After a few minutes, my roommate came in and said, "What are you doing? I told you not to use the oven." Turns out she had a plastic bowl of her dog's food, chicken and rice, sitting in there. The bowl had melted, and now there's melted plastic all over the bottom of the oven. I apologized, and she said, "It's okay, but I'm not going to clean the oven." I know I screwed up, but part of me feels like I shouldn't have to clean it. Why did she have a plastic bowl sitting in the oven? Why didn't she tell me specifically what it was? Why was it sitting in there for so long? So I guess my question more specifically is, should I have to clean the oven? You didn't do your due diligence and check if there was anything in the oven. Yes, 99 out of 100 times you shouldn't have to do that because it's a safe assumption that nothing would be in there. Yet, in this case, you had that thought heavy in your mind that roommate had used it and had told you not to use it the previous day. Instead of taking 2 seconds to open and check the oven for anything that may be inside, you chose to not do that, and now we're here. Your roommate sucks here for leaving their food in the oven in a plastic container, no less. They should have had the forethought that you'd assume it was empty instead of assuming that you'd assume it wasn't empty. That's their bad, and they definitely can be faulted for that, just as you can for your assumptions. It takes 2 seconds to move the food and container somewhere safer. Also, it is your responsibility to clean it, as much as that sucks. Everyone sucks here. Now, in the comments, Tinkerific says, "Yes, clean the oven. I think everyone sucks here. You should have checked what's in the oven because of your roommate's comments. Your roommate should not be storing dog bowls in the oven. That's what the fridge and cupboards are for." This is genuinely flabbergasting. If a roommate told me, "Don't use the oven right now," never in a million years would it occur to me that they meant that the oven would still be in use 12 plus hours later. Right now means right now. If the roommate meant don't use it tonight or tomorrow, then she needs to actually say that. You should still check the oven before preheating it. That's basic crap. Nah, the vast majority of people don't store crap in the oven. I never understood why people do that. It's so weird. Edit to add, you should have been clearer apparently. I don't understand why people store food in the oven. Cookware, while still something that I think is weird, is at least logical. Food such as chicken cannot be stored at room temp. Wobbly Wump says, "The oven isn't a storage space, so you can't make breakfast because her dog is keeping the food in there or whatever?" She said don't heat up the oven right now. She never said don't heat up the oven until I say it's cool. I think it's reasonable to keep the oven off limits unless she's got a time frame and communicates it. Not the a-hole. And Terragator Rex says, "Not the a-hole. All the people saying you're the a-hole is just shocking. Why the hell should anyone check the oven before turning it on? Nobody should leave plastic in an oven ever, especially for a long period of time. It's just begging for an awful mess to clean up. Ovens, except for the ones that specifically have drawers specifically for storage, are not storage spaces. You check the oven when you don't live alone, because you never know when somebody might have temporarily set something in there or forgot about it. When a house fire is the consequence, don't take risks. Checking the oven takes less than a full second." Posted by user ThrowawayWMDE, titled, "Am I the a-hole for calling my daughter petty for crying about not being mentioned in my award speech?" In the area where I live, I've been part of a professional association for 30 years, ever since I was 26. Every year, there is an event where a number of awards are given out. This year, the event was held over Zoom, and I was told that I had been nominated for the Lifetime Achievement Award. My daughter, 27, decided to get tickets. My ex-wife, 56, also bought tickets because my son, 16, wanted to be there. I was happy they decided to be there. I'm obviously on speaking terms with my ex-wife because of our minor son, and the more the merrier. My wife of a year, 30, and our son, 1, of course were always going to be my guests, so they listened in. I honestly didn't expect to win, and didn't want to jinx things by preparing a speech, but when the time came, they announced my name. I was ecstatic because this was the highest honor to be given. My wife and my son were hugging me, and she kissed me on the cheek. So I started off my speech with that I was sitting here tonight with my beautiful wife and my wonderful son. I said that I'd like to thank them for their support and owe everything I have and continue to do to them. After saying that, I didn't know how to add in anybody else, so I thanked the professional association and ended the speech. Yesterday, I was in therapy with my older kids and ex-wife, and my daughter was sullen the whole session and finally started railing against me for ignoring the three of them during my speech, and said that my ex-wife could have been just as successful as me in my profession given how many ideas she'd given me in helping me start my business, and that they were the ones dealing with my late nights and absences and being poor for many years. I explained to all three of them that I didn't know I would win, and that I was obviously going to acknowledge the people who were currently besides me, and was tongue-tied. My daughter didn't seem to accept that explanation, and continued crying. I finally told her that at this point, she's just being petty because of old grudges. And my son stood up and said, "Excuse us for being with you at the starting line." My ex-wife also started crying, and the therapy session ended there. Am I the a-hole for thinking that 3 weeks is enough time to get over sour grapes over a simple speech? You're seriously hoping that this situation is going to resolve itself after 3 weeks, when these people endured a lifetime of building this business with you, encouraging you, accepting your absence a large majority of the time with them, and then you walking out on all of them for a woman 26 years your junior? What kind of fantasy land do you live in where you can't even give them the decency of acknowledgement for their contributions and support at your award speech? You've made it more than clear you don't care about them at all. Using the word petty was the least of your worries in this situation. I'm genuinely surprised you're in counseling with them still, since this seems like the tip of the iceberg here. Shame on you, OP. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. You said you owe everything to your current wife and small child. I'd say she's pretty justified, especially considering they paid to be there. If I wasn't related to you and heard that, I'd think you had no other children. You may have been tongue-tied, but what you said was thoughtless and insensitive. Yeah, his wife of 1 year somehow helped with his career of 30 years. Her and no one else. Exactly, and their 1-year-old was a huge help. You're the a-hole. I'm not going to mention the fact that your new wife is 3 years older than your daughter. Oops. And like 26 years younger than you? Oops again. But honestly, seems like someone, hint you, just wanted to show off his much younger bride. So instead of thanking the people that have been by your side for almost the entire time you had been doing this job, the people that had stuck by you even when times were tough and when you were not present, you chose to thank the person that, honestly, had done the least for you. Came to say, you're the a-hole of the day. This right here, a deep and all-encompassing you're the a-hole. It truly floored me to read how incredibly dense OP is being about this. No empathy or consideration for anyone but himself. You're the a-hole, not just for failing to mention them, but far more so for failing to acknowledge the context of why they are so upset. I get it. You were caught on the spot. The cat got your tongue, as such, and your wife and son were right in front of you. It happens. But there is so much more to unpack here, and you're sweeping it completely under the rug instead of listening and apologizing. We'll start with the beautiful wife and wonderful son comment. It's a lifetime award, and you're explicitly talking about what your 1-year-old son means to you while completely omitting the 16-year-old son and 27-year-old daughter. They must have felt so forgotten and ignored. Highlighting one child over the other two is bad enough, but it's much worse in the context of a Lifetime Achievement Award, where that child hasn't been on Earth for the vast majority of that life. Bluntly put, I think your daughter is also right about the fact that she, your 16-year-old son, and your ex-wife made the sacrifices that your current wife and baby son have not, and yet you credited your success to them. Starting a career or a business is incredibly hard and requires sacrifices in terms of time, money, and relationships. I assume that your new wife only came into the picture in the last few years. God knows how your ex-wife must have felt hearing that you owed it all to your new wife. Be aware of the broader context too. You're in therapy for God's sake, so you know that there are problems in your relationship with them already, and it's incredibly sensitive. You've left your wife, or she left you, I don't know, and shacked up with a young woman who is your daughter's age, and now have a new baby. Of course your old family feels like they've been replaced. First you're punch drunk on love for someone who is your daughter's peer, then you're reveling in your new fatherhood again for the first time in 16 years. Your daughter, son, and ex-wife feel forgotten, emotionally forgotten, but also that their support for you and your work has gone forgotten. You need to listen to what they're saying, acknowledge it, take it on board, and apologize for what you didn't say. This is not sour grapes over a speech, it's resentment over a lifetime. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.